Hey folks, Eddie from Totally Wired Guitars here. So I've got this Squier Jaguar Vintage Modified neck here. It's a quite nice neck. It's one of the necks that was produced back between 2012 and I believe 2018 or so, before the Vintage Modifieds were replaced by the Classic Vibes. These had rosewood boards, and this one unfortunately came to me with the truss rod frozen or seized. Basically had completely backed out the truss rod nut, which I've got right here. And despite doing that, I was not able to get enough relief. In fact, this had a pretty severe back bow to it. And back bow is when the neck or the fretboard is curving up towards the strings so that you're not able to get enough relief. I had checked with my StewMac relief gauge here, and I was getting a surplus, an excess, and so I decided to start the motions of trying to put some relief back into this neck. The first order of business was, again, to fully back out and remove that truss rod nut here using the Allen key, and then once it was fully backed out, I just used a pair of pliers to pull it out because it needed a bit of help. Then after that, I set it up vertically, stood it up after dripping a couple of drops of Tri-Flow down in hopes that it would kind of penetrate down and maybe loosen up anywhere where the truss rod maybe has stuck to the wood inside of this neck here. That alone was not enough to make any difference at all. And so the next thing that I did was to use a clamp. Now I always try to think of ways, the most inexpensive ways to show you folks, because I know that a lot of you are not luthiers, are not, guitar techs. So I tried to think of what the stand-in could be for like the kind of wooden blocks and things that I was using. And so I tried doing the same process that I typically do with stuff that you can find around the house. And so I just took two of these Staedtler plastic erasers, set them underneath the neck like so here, the edge of my table. Okay, and then I just took a wood block, and probably maybe you have some scraps or something around your house or in your garage or something. And basically just set this towards the middle of the neck, kind of right here, spanning between the fifth and ninth frets here. And then I just used a trigger clamp. You can use a C clamp as well. And I just use a trigger clamp to tighten this up against my workbench here, right? Popping in some relief and giving it that bend that it needs, and let that set for a while. Okay, I basically let it set for about an hour or so, and then when I checked again, the combination of the Tri-Flow and this technique here was able to get us a zeroed out neck. But still, with the truss rod nut fully backed out, we still want to be able to build in a bit more relief, even if under tension, a completely zeroed out neck is probably going to get us anywhere between 7/1000 to 10/1000 of an inch of a relief, which is what I typically like, right? But I want the truss rod to be fully functional at this point. So we are going to take one additional measure, which is to heat treat this neck. So I'm just going to release my trigger clamp here. And again, using things that you may commonly find around the house. This thing here is a heating pad. I've used this for this process before. These are relatively inexpensive. You can get these in just about any pharmacy, Amazon, whatever. And this one here is actually a little bit too big. I used to have one that broke not too long ago that I haven't yet replaced, so we're borrowing my wife's. And it's a little bit too big. This is meant to cover her entire back. So we're actually going to fold it over a bit, just like this. And we are going to get that thing underneath our neck so that we can fold this over. And yeah, we're just moving it to the area that we're going to be treating, folding it over like this. We'll grab that block again, put it right about that area that we had it set before, right around between the 5th and the 9th, just like that. Okay. And then we're going to use our trigger clamp one more time, right towards the center. And then we are going to work that bow back into that neck. Okay. And then now we're going to turn on our heating mechanism. Now you can use bands and things or other additional, things to keep this down if you would like. I'm just showing you the overall, in a nutshell process here. I'm going to turn this thing on now. And I'm going to set that heat to about 6. And we are not going to set it to auto off. It is staying on. Otherwise, you could do it in 2-hour intervals. So we're just going to leave this for a couple hours here and check periodically to see what kind of progress we've made on this. But I am fairly certain with this thing staying on and heated like this, that this neck will be good to go and hopefully permanently fixed, enough so that, this neck does need some additional work done to it, like fret leveling, some dressing, crowning, needs the nut replaced and all of that stuff. So I think we are going to be able to get it. We already have gotten it zeroed out, but we can put that truss rod nut back in, and then we can also from there be able to engage that truss rod nut again to add a little more tension to the truss rod for us to get to that 0 point. And hopefully we will have our full range of adjustability on our truss rod back after this process. So we will check back in after a number of hours, maybe check back in 2 hours from now and see where we're at. Check in again 4 hours from now, and then we will see. So we will be back. All right. So we have pulled the clamp off the neck, and I can already tell, sighting down the neck, if you can see here, that there is definitely relief now in the neck with it fully zeroed out. How much there is, don't know yet. So let's go ahead and use the StewMac relief gauge here just to see what we're getting now. This was under the clamp and heat for roughly about 4 hours or so. And now we have got close to 10 thousandths of an inch relief here. I think we can go a bit further than that. So we are going to continue the heating process now, because with the truss rod nut completely removed, I would love to be able to get at least, I don't know, I'd say 15 thousandths of relief despite that. So we're going to go ahead and reclamp it, and then we'll be back after another couple hours. All right, so we have now, it's been a total of 8 hours, and I think you can see from here that we have put quite a bit of relief back into this neck now. You can see it from the side. You can see it from this other side, and we have fully backed out the truss rod nut. So this is, again, about 8 hours. That's kind of what we want. And now we can check to make sure that once we put our nut back on, that we're going to be able to adjust it. All right, it's been, I would say, probably about 12 hours. And now we're going to go ahead and check with the notch straight edge here. We are hoping that is perfectly straight, and I am happy to report that it is. And now let's double check to make sure that our truss rod, we can still engage the truss rod. Let's just make sure that we are perfectly straight. Make sure that this is getting a 0 reading. Okay, it is zeroed out. And then if we loosen it up a bit, let's just double check. Oh yeah, that was robust. We are now at almost 10 thousandths of an inch here. Let me just double check to make sure that I can see that relief. Yep, definitely. And then let's go ahead and tighten that back up. Make sure that it's working. Perfect. Perfect. So we are able to both get relief and also get the neck dead straight again as well. So that is really, really nice to see here. I am no longer seeing any kind of irregularities in this neck anymore. So I think it is safe for us to now proceed with the leveling process for this neck. All right, so just a very quick playthrough, and it seemed that we were good. And right now we have got roughly 10 thousandths of an inch of relief. Let's just see very quickly. I like that usually to be just a tiny bit less, especially since we just did a fret leveling. I think we can get away with less relief here. So let's shoot for like 7 thousandths, or like 7 thousandths to 6 thousandths. So I'm just adjusting the truss rod now, tightening it just a bit. There we go. That's closer to 7. So now let's just go ahead and double check. Ooh, yeah. And we haven't even given this thing a full setup because we just did change the tremolo also on here in addition to the neck. But just checking that our neck is feeling good. Oh man, it definitely is, especially with all that work that we did to it. This is a perfectly functioning neck now, ladies and gentlemen. So I am super stoked on that. I think we did a fairly good job. This was almost destined for the bin, but I figured this would be a good opportunity to show you all that just because you have truss rod issues doesn't automatically mean that the neck is not salvageable. And in fact, with just a couple of tools, resources on hand, things that you can commonly find that are not very expensive, you might be able to salvage your frozen truss rod neck yourself. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, folks. I hope you found it enjoyable as well as informative, especially if you've been having issues with a frozen truss rod. Definitely let me know down in the comments if you have any additional tips, if you've done something like this before and maybe did something to help rescue your neck that I didn't mention here. I know I and everybody else who watches this video would greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell to be notified of new videos as soon as they drop. And don't forget to follow Totally Wired Guitars for more offset guitars repair tips.